Hundreds of billions of emails are sent and received on a daily basis, and it has been calculated that more than 97% of business documents are created electronically. In short, the very nature of what constitutes information and documentary evidence, types and sources, and how they're dealt with has changed. So too has the manner in which litigators must now collect, review, and produce evidence. It is against this backdrop that a guide to eDiscovery in South Africa has been published. For more, we are joined by the co-author, Terry Harrison. Terry, thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
So, let's define it. When we talk about eDiscovery, what exactly are we saying?
Well, eDiscovery is, in essence, the end-to-end solution of how we identify, collect, process, review, and produce electronic documents. And the significance, as you already said, is that the business world has changed to the fact that we are experiencing something like 97% of all business communications done electronically. So if they're created electronically, they need to be dealt with electronically.
So let's talk about the relationship then between, eDiscovery and, access to justice in this particular case.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Thank you. The very important point is that using eDiscovery technology on electronic documents will, and it's been proven right across the world, reduce the cost of litigation. And that's a big problem in South Africa. Only a few months ago, the South African Law Reform Commission published a paper expressing its concern about legal fees. And it said in there that having eDiscovery incorporated into our civil rules of procedure would help in South Africa and the wider Africa because it will reduce costs. So it will help in terms of access to justice, which is a very big issue for all of us.
So you worked with advocate Ismail Hussein. Talk to me about that relationship. What inspired, the idea to say, let's work together and let's put this book together?
Well, I've been trying to lobby and get support for changing the rules of discovery in South Africa for a number of years. And I know from my experience that in other parts of the world, somewhere along the line, it's helpful if you get the support of a judge. And a number of people recommended me to Ismail Hussein, who's now a retired judge, but still a practicing advocate. So we arranged to meet, and he said that he would happily support me. And after a very long conversation, wherein we became very firm friends, he also said to me, we need to write a book about this. So we decided that we would write a book in simple, understandable language, because as you would imagine, being technologically based, there's a lot of jargon. And I incorporated something like a 250-word glossary of terms into the book to help with that. So we've done all that we can to help and to make it simple and understandable, and hopefully help to educate and make aware lots of relevant and interested people in the country.
On that particular note, I was going to ask you, who is this book targeted at?
For sure, attorneys, advocates, judges, in-house legal teams, and another one fairly close to my heart is law students, because I get a lot of complaints from law students that there is nothing in their curriculum. They know nothing about technology. They know nothing about eDiscovery as part of their learning. Yet once they're qualified, they're probably going to have to use it. So that's another one of our target areas. We're obviously in contact with tertiary institutions.
When it comes to the adoption of eDiscovery in other parts of the world, what does that look like?
Well, in simple terms, and by the way, I went through this in the UK in round about 2003. So that's how far behind we are in South Africa, by the way. And it's not easy. It's change. And it means that lawyers have to work in a different way. They have to think differently. They have to work differently. But it's bringing them into the 21st century. In terms of how it looks, it's simply a rule change within the civil rules of procedure to make it mandatory to deal with electronic documents electronically and to discover them, which means you disclose the relevant ones to the other side, along with their metadata, which is very, very important. It's the properties of each document, and it makes it evidentially very, very reliable. So it works. It works almost everywhere in the world. South Africa is one of the last common law countries in the world not to adopt it, but we're hoping it's on its way.
On that note then, since the launch, what has been the response from the public with regards to this book?
A tremendous response from attorneys, advocates so far, and some, as I mentioned earlier, people in tertiary institutions. I've had people write to me saying, this book has helped me already. You are changing our profession in South Africa. I've got other people saying, thank goodness you are still trying to help us to get eDiscovery into our country. So the blunt answer to your question is the response already has been terrific. And of course, it helps having a world-class publisher like LexisNexis.
All right, Terry, thank you so much for your time. Let's leave it there. That is Terry Harrison talking about a new book that he has co-authored, of course, with a respected attorney there. And it basically looks at eDiscovery and basically marketed to, of course, those in the legal profession. But that's it for me. We'll have more news with Nompumelelo Siziba after a short break. It's a goodbye.